Thank you so much, Corinne, and it's such a great honor and privilege to be here with Michelangelo Pistoletto, whom I met for the first time in 1985 when I was a teenager. I made a pilgrimage to Torino to visit him and Maria in Michelangelo's studio. And Michelangelo said at the time, we could have a much better conversation if you would speak Italian. You should learn Italian and then come back. So I actually speak Italian, all thanks to him. And we have a collaboration for now 40 years. But of course, Michelangelo's work goes back much, much further. He began to exhibit 70 years ago, in 1955. In the early 60s, invented the amazing, mirror paintings about which we're going to talk. But when Corinne mentioned the topic of this year's CONVOCO, balance, we immediately thought of Michelangelo. We thought of Michelangelo and his amazing project, of course, to create awareness through art of creation and balance in terms of political, economic, and also social relations. And that's, of course, what Michelangelo has done and is doing. And you will see many images in the background whilst we talk through the Città dell'Arte Foundation. Once Michelangelo told me balance and responsibility are the goals which Città dell'Arte is setting itself with all the projects of the Third Paradise and the embassies around the world. And for all of this amazing work, Michelangelo has been nominated this year to be a candidate for the Nobel Prize of Peace. And I think we should all give him a very big round of applause and a very warm welcome. Now, Michelangelo, I thought we could maybe begin with the beginning because, of course, this topic of balance is something which is present at the beginning of your work. And I wanted to ask you about arte povera, because you once told me that arte povera was a way to go deep into the source of energy and recuperate, in a way, the basic rapport between life and nature. So this disbalance or non-balance is something which you observed very early on. So I wanted to ask you a little bit to talk about arte povera and your beginnings.
For me, arte povera is the consequence of my previous work made with mirror paintings. I was looking for my identity through the self-portrait, looking to myself into the self-portrait in order to recognize my reason to be in the world. And finally, I transformed the canvas. As you see now, it's a black painting that start to reflect. The canvas start to reflect the image in front of it. And I was painting my image in order to give to the painting the feeling of the phenomenology of the existence in front of myself. But what I was seeing in front of myself before, it was behind me. Because the mirror, it shows everything that exists in front of it. And I was looking in the mirror and seeing everything in front of the mirror that was behind myself. So the entire world started to enter the mirror, enter the painting, enter the art. I was not alone anymore. As you see into the mirror, you see into the painting, you see the population, you see the world. The world itself, it become part of the phenomenology of time and space. Time and space was not painted by me, was given directly by the nature through the mirror. So the art became the real phenomenological mirror of the existence. So the infinity, it was inside of my work, in front of ourselves. It is why you see myself painted using the photography as the possibility of giving the same objectivity of the figure, of the images, the same objectivity that you have in the mirror. The mirror, it doesn't lie. It presents the things exactly as they are. The mirror is the truth. And the photography offered me the possibility to make a true image, living with the truth of the images in the mirror. So painting and mirror were living together. The image that I was fixing on the surface of the mirror, it was the memory of a moment that in the mirror was passing. Nothing is stable. Everything is changing. The image that you see in the mirror is there now, was not there before, and will not be there after, just for one instant. The moment that the image is born in the mirror, the image dies. But we don't die. We see ourselves in the mirror. It is why I wanted to arrive to understand what is the difference by the resistance of the things and the dynamic of the infinity that is in the present. The present is the infinity, because nothing is staying, is going on there. What is going on is the combination of the chemical and chemicality, of physicality, energetic dimension, but there is also a durability. Nothing is there forever, anyway. So it is why I arrived to make a sign, a drawing that represented the infinity. But the drawing existed already. That is the infinity drawing of the mathematic sign of infinity, the mathematic sign of the infinity. So the mathematic sign is made with a line that is crossing itself. The point of the crossing is the present, and the line is always passing through the present with a quickness that is infinite quickness. So this, I represented this with the concept of infinity in order to be able to talk about of the mirror painting. And finally, I said, but we are not in the infinity. We still live in the finity. So spontaneously, I started to draw the line crossing itself 2 times, not just one. And a third circle started to exist between the two circles of the infinity. And the central circle that comes from the repetition of the crossing is the finity, the life, the existence, the physical existence in between the infinity. So this is the symbol of the creation.
And we're going to talk about that much more in relation to the Progetto Arte. But before that, I wanted to ask you, because of course the mirror announces the collaboration, because you said with the mirror paintings, the viewer himself, herself, themselves are the collaborators. You also said, I am us, together we are the universe reflected in the mirror. But then something happened which is very important, because you actually went from the mirror to the oggetti meno, the minus objects, and that was a rupture with the mirror principle.
But the minus object, they are phenomenological, like the mirror painting. But the phenomenon, it is different from the style that can be understood as a personal style of Pistoletto mirror paintings. I still go on making mirror paintings because they are part of my life. But I didn't want my style to become a trademark, a commercial trademark. My art was not done in order to represent a system of trademarks that was giving me the possibility to show my work, but to become representative of a political system through the acceptance of my work in the movement of the pop art. And I was a part of the American pop art at the beginning of the 60s, not because I was living in the States. It is because I was living in Italy, but through my work I arrived to the same objectivity of the representation that was also in the pop art artistic movement. So the pop artistic movement was created specifically in New York, and the same artists were represented by Leo Castelli in New York, and Leo Castelli became representative of Pistoletto too. So I was included in the pop art, and Leo Castelli was selling my work in the museums, in the main museums of the United States, like the MoMA, for example. And so, but when Leo Castelli told me, attention, because now you are recognized as part of our big family, but you have to forget to be European. You have to become American in the sense that you have to come here and live in the States, and you have to renounce to all what's around you about your past. And he said, no, that's not possible. I come from the history of the antique Egypt, Greek, Roman, Greek, and the Renaissance, the perspective of the Renaissance. The perspective of the Renaissance brought me to the mirror painting. The gold painting of the icons were, for me, like the origin of the mirror, something that is reflecting light, but not yet the images. But that was my process. So my process, it was the concept of human in the universal sense, not a human in say consumeristic system of refrigeration, of representation.
And this led then to
it is why I decided to eliminate the trademark of Pistoletto. How could do that? How could I do that? I could do it making each work different from the other. And so each work that I was doing from 65 to the beginning of 66, a series of work that were one different from the other, so nobody could say this is Pistoletto. This it can be Pistoletto, this it can be Pistoletto, this it can be Pistoletto. You don't know anymore. See? So that is the disgregation of the consumeristic concept of art.
And this brings us to Austria in a very unexpected way.
And that is the origin of the arte povera.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's the
arte povera is start from the minor subject. Germano Cela is written what I am saying when he made the manifesto of arte povera.
And that brings us also to Austria, because something very unexpected actually happened, which I think is so interesting to talk about here in Salzburg, because in 1989, Franz West, the late Franz West, a wonderful Austrian artist, and you had a conversation, and Franz West felt that you are a secessionist, and he talked to the secession in Vienna about the importance of actually bringing you as a contemporary secessionist into the secession, but also into the academy. And it's a very crucial moment in terms of what we want to discuss here today, in terms of balance and society, because of course it's your foundation, the Città dell'Arte, whose mission is to produce a transformation of society in a responsible sense, to bring balance in place of imbalances. And this all began, in a way, in Vienna at that moment. Can you tell us that story and how Franz connected you? And then you were thinking of bringing the secession into the academy. You taught in the academy in Vienna, but then somehow decided that you needed to start your own organization.
Yes. As you said, I was invited to make my exhibition of the minus object, one different from the other, in the secession, because under the suggestion of Franz West, Koeb, that was the director, he said, I want you to bring your work that is for me a secession into the history of the contemporary art, into the secession on the building of the secession, that is the place where the artists of the academy, they went and they create this palace, a big palace with a gold cupola, but it's and I want that be the presence of your secession in the home of the secession, and that we did. He said, the next year I will be part of the direction of the academy. The secession was done by the artists of the Academy of Vienna, and because they wanted to make a universal art. There was Klimt and others at the time, the beginning of the 20th century. And so he said, I would like you to become a professor in the academy in order to bring the secession into the academy again, bring the secession back and to transform the academy in a real secession. And I said, okay, I come. They invited me to come, and I did the work with the student. And I said to the student, the museum are ready for bringing good artists inside of it. The collections, the books, but there is no place for everybody of us. We are already 300-400 here, but how many academy of art there is in the world? So there is no place for everybody. But I can tell you something. I said to the student, one thing is for sure, that the entire world, the entire population of the world need of all you. You have already your place of art as artist in the entire world, not only in the museum, not only in the galleries, not only in the collection, but you have to make the secession. The secession, that means to make the art universal as the secession wanted to be. The artists of the secession wanted to be. So this is what it is. But at the same time, at that I started to work there as professor. It was 91. I came to Biella, and I said, now I want to buy a place, an old mill here in Vienna, a mill for textile that was abandoned. I bought it, and I said, I want to be sure that I can go on with what I am doing now in Vienna, but to be sure that I can take the responsibility myself more than the academy in Vienna. And it is why Città dell'Arte was born. And Città dell'Arte is the sequence of the secession, and it is the secession for me of today that is going on, not only in the academical sense of the art, but art being engaged in the secession in the entire world, in the entire society, in the entire community of humans, because art need today to be the inspiration and giving the direction to a new world that is in full crisis. The crisis is given by the impossibility that the academic history can proceed. We have to do something that comes from the secession.
And you created an extraordinary institution which continues to evolve, and it's a school, it's also a city. In 2003, quite early on in this process, you wrote a text called Terzo Paradiso, which is very much, I think, relevant for the topic here of Corinne's balance theme. It's a manifesto for a harmonious future where nature and society coexist, stating the social responsibility and to seek a more sustainable world.
There you see the symbol, the 3 circles, you see? The 3 circles are is the symbol of the third paradise. That it was the first time that I used that symbol. As I said before, that represent the two different elements that are that you find in the external circles, 2 different elements that can be combined in the central circle and produce something that didn't exist before. Nothing of what exists is born in another way. Everything that exists is born from the combination of 2 elements that you find in the 2 external circles that combine in the center, produce something that didn't exist. And this, I wanted to do that with the symbol of the third paradise. Third paradise, it means that there is two previous paradise. The first is the time when we were totally included in the nature. The second paradise, that is in the other circle, is the artificial world that we created, taking us away from the nature. So we have nature, artificial world. In the center, we have to create the balance. We have to create the coexistence of nature and artifact. So this was what I taught in 2002, making that third paradise drawing. And still, when today we speak about balance, that was my project of the balance. The project of the connection that was not anymore a connection producing contrast, producing the contrast between nature and artificial capacity, but making something new that was harmony. So balance for me is harmony. Beauty is harmony. The best of the beauty is harmony.
And you said that peace and harmony are your 2 favorite words, and we're going to talk more about peace a little bit later, but I wanted to stay with the Terzo Paradiso, because one thing which is very interesting is that last night at the dinner, you had a very fascinating conversation with Jan Leonard, about this idea of repetition, historic repetition, and he mentioned that we should revisit Reinhard Koselleck about that. And you've done exactly that. You've created something which repeats every year. You've created out of the Terzo Paradiso the Rebirth Day. Every 22nd of December of every year is Rebirth Day. You've created embassies. I would like you to explain that concept to us. It's very exciting.
We were together the day we started with this idea of the Rebirth Day. We were together in London, and the people were saying it was 2011. The people were saying, we are at the end of the world. Now is there is a voice going on. If you don't know, if you remember, the end of the world. Because the Maya calendar was finishing the 21 of December 2012. So they said, that is the end of the world, the day of the end of the world. We said, no, we don't think it will be that day. But the system of the artificial production of life we are doing and the system of implementing nuclear bombs and nuclear war will bring probably us very soon to the end of the world. So we have to think that probably we have this day that come by chance to say that it can be taken as the first day of the new world, regeneration, the Renaissance, the day of the Renaissance. And it is why it is at that moment that we started to ask everybody that could participate to that concept of being together for that day, that we create. They started the embassies of the third paradise in the world.
And now there are many, yes.
Now we have around 300 in all the different parts of the world, 300 embassy of rebirth.
Now this morning over breakfast you told me about a whole, new vision which encapsulates many of the things you've done over the last 70 years. We talked about Lorenzetti and the allegory of good and bad government. And you somehow summarized in this drawing very much where the Città dell'Arte stands, and it's connected. Of course, there is a river, and then there is a bridge, there is the Città dell'Arte, and then there is this building.
We have to say before of all that I created Città dell'Arte when I bought that factory, abandoned factory, and it was, and there I started with the school, with the school that is the school of the secession, the real school, with the student coming from all over the world to learn how to connect art with all the different sectors of the society. Art and politics, art and economy, religion, architecture, fashion, school, communication.
And entrepreneurship plays a big role in it, no?
Yes.
The idea of that.
So art as the school of connections, art and each point of the society. And it is why in the Città dell'Arte was born the concept of the state of art, lo stato dell'arte. Now we have created the state of art, not only the city of art, Città dell'Arte, now is Stato dell'Arte, with the Constitution. The Constitution this is a very, very recent approach, but now we have the Constitution. And it is the art taking the government of the world. Art. If we don't do that, we never arrive to the peace. Because we have the system of democracy that is clear that it was really the big desire of humanity, the big myth of this. They tried in all the way to do it, but they don't succeed. And you see also how today it's impossible the democracy to be realized. There is always a monocracy taking the power.
And you used about democracia more than democracy.
Okay, this is the point. Why? It is we decided that the word democracy, is true because we want the democracy. But democracy is a word made by two words. Demos, that means people, and kratos, that means power. The power for the people, for the population, is impossible because the people is made for so many individuals that each individual cannot have the power. Individually, nobody can have the power. So we have only the ideologies of the concept of the people being united when they vote. But after, the ideology is taking the responsibility, not the people. and the parties are kept by organizer of ideologies. And they just play with the people, the ideologies, they play with the people. Some good and very inspired politician takes his life seriously engaged in the need of the people, but they are very few. And when they die, there is no others. And so we understood the problem it was in the word, democracy. And we created a word that is different, is new. Demopraxis. Praxis, demos, people. Praxis, practicability. Practicability, praxis. So, we have to make a democratic politic. What is practic? What is practic? It is not just one person that can vote. The practice is come from the duality. Two people, two persons that want to live together, they have to organize a little politic. They have to decide what to do together during the day, during the morning, how much we put money together. It is a little government. A family is already a little government. So any say the organization, any minimal organization. Yeah. So the unity, or you have to make the.
It's a minimal unit of organization.
See, the organization. So they are the enterprise.
Yeah.
The enterprise. Okay, grazie. I forgot what is the name. The enterprise are the organization. So, each enterprise is a little government. Each enterprise is a little government.
And what about the laws? Because
we have to make together. You have to make together the little organization, and to make connection and meetings, and we call forum, forum that permit to decide what to do between the different organizations. The necessity is to combine together between the organization what is really practically necessary to combine and to give law.
And that brings us to the law.
That is not something that can be decided from far.
But that brings us...
It can be decided from and let me finish this one. And at end, the enterprise exists because it is the work that everybody has to do, even in the little countries that are very poor. They have to work. They have to live with the practice. And the practice, it is important also in the big structures of the big governments. So, demo praxis, demo pratica.
And within this demo
And
praxis,
this is what we try to develop with government, art government in Biella.
so that's the drawing.
This is yours.
But this one here, because here you basically bring in,
See, that is why.
because this is important, no?
Yeah, in the Città dell'Arte is now it's 1 kilometer, and it is a big city where we make activity in all kind of activity, school, but also connection with art and architecture, art and politics, art and economy. But there is the palace now that we bought now a new building, a new old building. It is the place where we call Stato dell'arte, and the state of art is including the connection between the religions. Unity of religions, responsibility of art, including the connection between enterprise. Dunque, unity of enterprise. It's including unity of sports. And the sport, we have to talk about the sport also.
Yeah, the sport is important because you say that the sport is essential for the idea of practicing a preventive peace, because you said there are rules or laws kind of in sport where actually people can compete without doing harm to each other, right?
Yes. The problem of the fact that we go on making war, and it is because we still have the traditional meaning of the animal. Animal, it means the human before become human. The animal before becoming intelligent is living in the nature, and in the world of the animals and in the world of the nature is eating herself. The nature is killing herself to survive, because nothing in the nature is safe. Everything that exists is eaten by something else that is eating you for living. This is the nature. We eat grass. We eat animals. We eat fruits. We eat. But this is the animal. We have transferred the system of the predation, that is the strongest power in the system of the animals. It is the lion that is eating the babies, eating the smallest animal. And if you see, for example, the symbol of the power of the big empire is the lion, or is the eagle. The predation is the symbol of the power. So you have to eat somebody else that is an animal for you if you want to have the power. This is the system of the war. You see? So when I speak about sport, I speak about something that it doesn't have been using, it exclude the possibility of killing the enemy. Because in each sport is the competition. There is the competition. It's one against the other. The war is transformed in dynamic of giving the best of each one against the other. But when you win, it is the victory that win. And the victory, it doesn't take part for one or for the other. The victory is impartial. The victory is the victory of the we say the progress of the humanity, where two elements, they give the best. One is necessary to the other. So the conflict and the competition become a competition, and the competition is necessary because without the competition there is no victory. But the victory is the victory of the life in the sport, because there is a law, and the law of each sport enables you to make something on the body or in the life, or to kill. This is an incredible thing that already exists, that shows that it's possible to make the war something that is becoming peace, and using the same system, the system of competition. And the competition, it is something that exists in everything. The competition between two factories that want to make the best for the production, the best for the economy, the best for the company. Now we have also the new problem. The big new problem is that we have to make the best, trying to not destroy the nature itself. Because that is the sustainability. It is something that is not just some word that were turning around 30, 40 years ago. Now we speak about sustainability in the United Nations, in the big Congress. So we need to talk about that, because we kill human, and now we kill, we go on killing human, and we are killing the planet. So we have to change the system, and it is art that can draw everything at the peace and sustainability, because art is creation. Art is not the animal that is using the intelligence in animalistic way. It's not the animal that use the intelligence in animalistic, but the human creation. We can create a world that is saving the society, that is saving humanity, that is saving the planet. This is what we have to do with art. And it is something that we cannot do just talking about, but we have to do it practically.
And it's for this practice that you were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and the committee said that it was actually for your leading role in driving a radical artistic transformation that fosters a shared and responsible concept of humanity and promoting peace as a self-certified expression of intelligence. And in answer
but in a practical way, not just talking about.
And in an answer to that, you said, for me, the culture of peace is present in all artistic activities, always connected to every aspect of social life. And you say that you don't see your nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize as a personal recognition for what you have done, but as a commitment for future work. And that's my last question. I wanted to ask you about the future, because you work a lot with AI. At the moment, there is the Venice Architecture Biennale. It's still on until, I think, November, for those of you who haven't seen it, by Carlo Ratti, a very fascinating biennale. And you present there the third paradise perspective, actually, in the context of this show called Intelligence, Natural, Artificial, Collective. And we can see there, as in many of your recent projects, how you actually bring in AI for your future work. And you likened these works of AI to your mirror works.
You see, AI is now our sky. It is a sky that we have created around the planet. In a planet that is going to be more and more anthropized by the artificial human. Because now the weight of the artificial material, it is much higher and bigger than the weight of the animals and vegetation together in the earth. So the artificial substance is now bigger than the nature. So what I was saying in 2002, 2003 about the third paradise, the nature is not the same anymore when I create the third paradise. The nature now is a little part of the artificial that has been taking possession and the place of the nature. And it is growing very, 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 very quickly because everybody in the world wants to have more and more and more. And also the artificial intelligence need a lot of energy. And we have to produce electric energy. So it is a big problem. So we have this incredible sky that is the sky of the potential, and that is artificial, and that is the sky around us. That is technological. It's untouchable, but we are there. It's the brain of everybody connected. But and on the earth, we don't have anymore the original nature. We have this fake nature that is artificial, physically nature. So we have really to change the system, and the system it is not to hope that somebody will do it for us. It is a human being that has to use the creation, the creativity, because only the human being possess the creation. Only the human being the possessor. All the rest is nature. And the nature, it doesn't create anything different from what exists, that is one eating the other. And the creation has to be the creation of a new politics and a new economy, and art is the creation. There's not a possibility to make art without making creation. It is why art has to take the direction and to make the school. And we are making the school that is the school in Biella.
I mean, there could not be a more wonderful conclusion. Michelangelo, thank you so much. A big round of applause for Michelangelo Pistoletto.
I have a thought after all we've heard, and it comes to balance. I just thought about it. A kilogram of gold on a swing, and you can make jewelry, but you cannot fertilize a garden. So the question is, these were the thoughts I had, a kilogram of gold or a kilogram of fertilizer, when I listened to all of what you've had to say. Another thought, the intensity of the presentation. Well, maybe we can go right into it. Maybe we can begin. I'd like to interrupt you. I hope you don't mind. Sorry. Go ahead. Right. Well, I just wanted to ask you, with balance, you say work is based on reality and something that tries to change the possibility. There are two poles. I can recall when we met for the first time, I think it was 1993 roundabout. I was doing some research, and you had some very small abstract pictures. And if you like, there's a balance between abstract and figuration. Well, yes. Well, I'll be brief. First of all, I'd like to clarify one thing, which I repeat again and again. There is no difference between abstraction and figuration. I think we've all been to different courses where we learned about this, and some things are not quite realistic. If I draw an apple, you draw an apple, which one is real? Well, what represents something creative, or what is something where we don't have the words to describe it? It might sound a bit strange, but this is the problem of taking what we have and to translate the picture into language. Okay, was it drawn well or not so well? And it's more difficult if we have gestures, for example. But I personally use painting, and I'm only a painter, thank goodness, depending on what the purpose is. If I want to draw a picture on the distortion of the leftist intelligentsia under Stalin, then of course I have to draw the people, the building, etc. But if I want to do something like, if I'm obsessed with the idea that this is an idea of freedom of expression and not just something that's reproducing what's already there, then I have to find something that's not there, that hasn't been around yet. And I think that this is a bit difficult with painting because it might go back 1,000 years in history. You might have an upside-down pyramid or something like that, but the purpose as an artist should always be to arrive somewhere where you've not been before, but hopefully nobody else has either. So the good thing about painting is that there are phases where they had small groups that existed for a short period of time, but the evidence of a good picture is the good picture itself. With reference to other pictures you can compare it to, and this can be verified. Now, if we're talking here more about developing criteria as to when a picture is good, when does the picture work, and when does it not work. And as unlike other areas in art or the performing arts, we have criteria, and these are given by the medium, and that's quite practical. So you have a picture, and the picture goes back to Giotto, to Pollock, to Marlene Dumas, and who else? And you look at it and you say, okay, this picture is at least as good as the one, then I could put it in my living room. But this picture's not good enough. What are the criteria that I'm working with? It's sometimes difficult. You have to think when you paint, of course. Then I think we've achieved our goal. So if you want to paint, what does Nike say? Just do it. Maybe we could talk about your exhibit. It's based on a poem by Hölderlin. Hölderlin's poem, Half of Your Life, there's a little bit of a joke in there. You all know that Hölderlin, when he wrote that, he was considered to be insane. And we don't understand that because it's an excellent poem. Half of it was, well, I'm now 62, that's half of my life, so that means I'll turn out to be 124. And the other point was that in the poem itself, we had a natural, idyllic scene. For example, we can see the swans and they can go into the water, but towards the end you can see that everything is cold and silent. But when working, drawing is not a language, or painting is not a language. You're looking for a type of anchor or a net to hold everything together. And at the end of the work, you come up with this type of poem because you have two states. Most of us are familiar with this. Our observation of the world over the last 5 years, where we have the Ukraine war, Gaza, etc., where despite all sorts of optimism, we can see the and that's what I was trying to explain to you. Nonetheless, you try to see art, or at least I try to show art as using painting, which puts you in a good mood. Intelligence, brilliance, wonderful structures, etc. Of course, in painting, with everyone you say, oh, look, this comes from that and that comes from there. But this is impossible in painting to do something which has not been around somewhere else in the past. If you have a rock band, for example, it's very difficult to develop a sound which nobody has ever heard before. My last question, the last question already. Well, I think we can have a look at the exhibit, but I think in 1993 you talked a lot about music, and now you talked about a rock band as well. So you can only understand an artist if you understand what kind of music he or she enjoys listening to. Right. I really love to listen to music, and I think that you're not only someone who takes a look at classical modern works of art, but you too, I think that you listen to soul music, different types of blues, rock music, and I think it's much easier in music or in literature to see how directly we can perceive music if it's a type of being much more intense, much more complex than looking at a picture. The picture doesn't talk to me. It doesn't force me to do anything. It's hanging on the wall, and it's an area for contemplation. But music has a totally different function, how it speaks to us, or how it can move us, or doesn't move us. This is totally different. Talking to you, I'm looking at you now, and if I look at him, it's totally different from when I just touch him. If I force him to make noises, then I think we have this problem. We've really hit the nail on the head. Taking a look at Heinz Ulrich Obrist is different from talking to him, and that's the way it is with painting as well. So